That may be so. Let me make I'm putting your lecture with the earlier one of John Azuma's. I'm trying to find out what you have presented in the morning and what you have presented now. Looking at the faces of Islam, does Islam have faces? The second is the historical question. Are there paradigm shifts in Islam? And then the third one is, are there grades of Islam? That is, this level, another level, another level. Now, if these are true, or we find them as factors in Islam, how do we speak about progressive Islam regarding phases of Islam, paradigm shifts in Islam, and the grades of Islamic understanding by Muslims? So that is one question I'll give the rest. Thank you.
Next person, you can grab the phone, the microphone.
Yes, truly, this is a very, well-researched work and classified, My question is, what will your reaction be towards some Quranic texts? I don't know how far you have gone, that really touches on Christian-Muslim relation, the Darul Islam, Darul Harb, and also, chapter 5 of the Quran that says, whosoever befriend the Christians and the Muslims, Allah's cause be upon them. And I don't know at what point we can put this, or how much have these people detextualized, those particularly progressive, detextualizes all those Quranic texts in the context of what you have presented.
Thank you. Last.
My question is closely related to this last one. Since progressive Islam, they are aligned to the realities of today, and they are trying to engage head-on with what they are encountering in their day-to-day lives, while at the same time claiming to be faithful to the content of their Quranic heritage. What I'm now asking is, how do they manage this tension? Because there are Quranic texts that are actually critical and exclusive in nature. And if that is taken along with the values they are expressing, like plurality, since there is tension, how do they manage this? Or will I dare suggest maybe they pick some selected verses that perhaps relate to the Makkah period, when Islam or the Muslims were the minority in Makkah, and the verses in Quran at that time is accommodating. I don't know how they manage the tension between these values they are expressing and what some of the Quranic verses are all about, which are very exclusive in nature.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nicole?
Thank you. Thank you for those questions. I think that they're more or less all kind of interlinked. So let me just start with the two last questions. What do progressive Muslims? How do they kind of deal with those problematic verses in the Quran? And I would like just to show you how progressive Islam has approached those problematic verses. And he also happens to be Sudanese and African. So it really shows that there is a homegrown and that industry of progressive Islam. And it's the theory of Mahmoud Mohammed Taha, and it's the reverse theory of naskh or abrogation. So it's a very, very simple, and yet it's a very complex at the same time, but it's an interpretive strategy which takes into account the traditional framework. So what Taha has been saying is that the passages revealed in Mecca to all Muslims, those who submit themselves to God, reflect the original and altered world of God, while the passages revealed in Medina to all mu'minin, excuse my Arabic, the believers, form the subsidiary message. So, for Ta, though the Meccan passages precede the Medinan passages, they embody the original message because they are given to a higher level of believers. And moreover, they are in contrast also to the Medinan passages because the message in the revelations in the Medinan era are really a specific embodiment of Islam at a specific time in history. So in fact, what he's doing is just, next slide, is just reversing the traditional doctrine of abrogation. Now, somebody has asked the question, how accepted are those progressive Muslims? Well, Taha himself was hanged, I think it was in 1995, 85 by a public execution. And many of the progressive Muslims stay in the West. Ibrahim Musa, Farid Isaac had to leave South Africa because of the harassment that they experienced there. But there are progressive Muslims who have tried to remain in the Muslim world, somebody like Fatima Mernissi, for instance. So they are facing a big resistance in the Islamic world. But what the progressive Muslims are saying is that a reformation should happen. With Islam, if Islam wants to survive, it has got to be reformed. And only a reformation that takes place within the framework of tradition will be acceptable to Muslims. I think there's a quote here that I would like to share with you. Just find it. My paper is 26 pages long, so... Slide 105, please. Let me just share with you what Al-Naim, another Sudanese man, has said about that reformation that should take place within Islam. To seek secular answers is simply to abandon the field to fundamentalists, who will succeed in carrying the vast majority of the population with them by citing religious authority for their policies and theories. Intelligent and enlightened Muslims are therefore best advised to remain within the religious framework and endeavor to achieve the reforms that would make Islam a viable modern ideology.
Tough task.
Yeah, it is a tough task. And again, yes, yeah. The one thing, you asked the question, can Islam have many faces? Well, of course, the Islamists would say there's only one face of Islam because there is only one pure Islam. And that's why the progressive Muslims are seen as apostates. But the other, the people who hold differing views will say there are different faces of Islam. So it just depends on where you want to put yourself. But the point is, there is already out there an embryonic, or rather, progressive Islam already exists out there in an embryonic form. And as Christians, what do? Do we engage with that understanding, reinterpretation, or rereading of Islam, or do we just ignore it? And I think, that the questions, the suggestions that have been given today already and yesterday